Case Breakdown, Episode 1. The Idaho Murders, Breaking Down the Evidence. 4 college students, 1 quiet suspect, and a crime that shocked the entire United States. In the early hours of November 13th, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students were brutally murdered inside an off-campus house in Moscow, Idaho. There were no signs of forced entry, no immediate suspect, and for weeks, no answers. The victims were Kaylee Gonkovs, Madison Mogan, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, all young students with their entire futures ahead of them. The small college town was left in fear. Who could have done this? And how had they disappeared without a trace? For weeks, investigators remained silent. Rumors spread online. Speculation exploded across social media. But behind the scenes, law enforcement was building a timeline. Security footage from nearby homes and businesses revealed something unusual: a white Hyundai Elantra circling the area around the time of the murders. The vehicle became a key focus of the investigation. As detectives traced traffic cameras across multiple neighborhoods, they identified a pattern. The same vehicle appeared repeatedly in the area during late night hours. But the real turning point came from something much smaller. A knife sheath was found at the crime scene. On that sheath, investigators recovered a single source of male DNA. That DNA would later become one of the most critical pieces of evidence in the entire case. Weeks later, law enforcement identified a suspect, Brian Kohberger. Kohberger was not a known criminal. He was a criminology Ph.D. student studying at Washington State University, just miles away from the crime scene. He studied criminal behavior. He analyzed how crimes were committed, and now he was accused of committing one of the most disturbing crimes in recent memory. Investigators allege that Kohberger's DNA matched the DNA found on the knife sheath through genetic genealogy testing. Cell phone data allegedly placed him near the victim's residence multiple times before the murders. According to investigators, his phone went dark during the estimated time of the killings, only to reconnect hours later. Prosecutors argue this was no coincidence. Surveillance footage also allegedly shows a white Hyundai Elantra matching Kohberger's vehicle in the area that night. And in the weeks following the murders, reports indicate that the suspect took an unusual cross-country trip back to Pennsylvania, where he was eventually arrested. But the case is far from simple. Kohberger has pleaded not guilty. His defense team argues that the evidence is circumstantial. They question the reliability of the DNA methods used and the interpretation of cell phone data. They maintain that he is innocent. As of now, the trial has yet to fully unfold in court, and until a verdict is reached, Brian Kohberger remains legally presumed innocent. This case raises difficult questions. Was this a calculated act by someone who studied criminal behavior? Was it a targeted attack, or something else entirely? And how did 4 lives end in a home that was meant to be safe? The Idaho murders remain one of the most closely watched criminal cases in America. As new information emerges, the world waits for answers. This was Case Breakdown, where we analyze the evidence, examine the timeline, and separate fact from speculation. Subscribe for weekly deep dives into real criminal investigations, because every case deserves a closer look.